Yo, I'm going to do another exercise here with my new friend, ChatGPT, and I'm going to ask some questions. Hey, can you tell me about any policies that Trump did, any laws that he helped pass while he was in office that directly benefited Black businesses, Black colleges, people that were maybe locked up in jail unfairly? Can you tell me anything that Trump did to benefit the Black community specifically?
Sure. During his time, Donald Trump's administration undertook several initiatives that were highlighted as beneficial to the Black community. Here are a few. First Step Act. This bipartisan criminal justice reform aimed to reduce recidivism and reform sentencing laws, which disproportionately affected African Americans. It included provisions for fairer sentencing, improved prison conditions, and programs to help inmates transition back into society. HBCU funding. Trump signed a bill that included more than $250 million a year for historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs, and other minority-serving institutions. He also established a permanent funding stream for these institutions. Opportunity zones. The 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act created opportunity zones to spur economic and job creation in distressed communities, many of which have significant Black populations. This initiative provided tax incentives for investments in these.
You're cutting out there. They provided investments in the Black community because of what reason?
Areas. Trump's economic opportunity record often pointed to the low Black unemployment rate during his term, citing it as an indicator of economic progress for the Black community. Sure, let's go over those points again. First Step Act, a criminal justice reform law aimed at reducing recidivism and reforming sentencing laws, which disproportionately affected African Americans. HBCU funding. He signed a bill providing over $250 million annually to his. Sorry about that. The opportunity zones were created to spur economic development and job creation in distressed communities, many of which have significant Black populations. This initiative provided tax incentives for investments in these areas. Is there anything specific you'd like to know more about regarding these policies?
Um, yeah, can you tell me about the HBCU funding? Is it true that Barack Obama defunded the Black colleges, and why did Trump do what he did?
The claim that President Obama defunded HBCUs is not accurate. During his administration, there was an unintended consequence from changes to the Parent Plus loan program, which made it harder for some parents to obtain loans, impacting HBCU enrollment. The administration later took steps to rectify this and invested in HBCUs through various initiatives. As for President Trump, he signed the Future Act into law in 2019, which permanently provided more than $250 million a year to HBCUs and other minority-serving institutions. This move was seen as a significant support for these institutions, ensuring consistent funding. Trump's administration framed this as part of a broader effort to support Black Americans, highlighting it alongside other initiatives like the Opportunity Zones and the First Step Act.
So Trump fixed it and made it permanent so HBCUs didn't have to go through the process of requesting grants every year?
Exactly. By signing the Future Act into law, Trump secured permanent funding for HBCUs, which meant these institutions no longer needed to go through the annual process of requesting grants from the federal government. This provided a more stable and predictable source of funding, helping HBCUs to plan and operate more effectively. It was a significant move for supporting these historically important institutions.
Is there anything else I need to know that Trump did while he was in office that positively impacted the Black community?
In addition to the First Step Act, HBCU funding, and opportunity zones, here are a couple more initiatives from Trump's time in office that were highlighted as beneficial to the Black community. 1. Criminal justice reform. Beyond the First Step Act, the Trump administration advocated for broader criminal justice reforms, focusing on rehabilitation and reducing mandatory minimum sentences. 2. Economic policies. The administration's economic policies, including tax reforms and deregulation, were promoted as beneficial for business owners and job creation, including within the Black community. The administration often pointed to the low unemployment rates for Black Americans before the COVID-19 pandemic as evidence of economic progress. While the impact and effectiveness of these policies are subjects of debate, these initiatives were part of the Trump administration's efforts that were highlighted as having a positive impact on the Black community.
So I did that exercise to show my Black brothers and sisters that many of you I have a lot of respect and love for. Many of you, not so much, to be honest with you. But many of you are just refusing the truth. You're refusing the knowledge. You're just basing your opinion off your personal feelings because you don't like his attitude. You don't like how he conducts himself. You don't like things that he's said in speeches that might have been insensitive or even racial at some points. But here's the hard, cold truth, which we're going to find out here in a minute the specifics. Here's the facts. We as Americans, black, white, whatever you want to call yourself, you have to ask yourself this question. Are you better now under Trump, or are you better now under Biden? When you go to the store, not don't tell me how you feel. Don't mention anything that was said. I'm talking about the reality of going to the store, buying groceries, the reality of going to the gas station, getting gas, the reality of inflation and high interest rates, the reality of feeling safer as an American. Are you safer now under Biden and Kamala than you were under Trump? Are you better off now under Biden than you were under Trump? Let's look at the data here and go back to ChatGPT here and see what the data is. Can you tell me what the average income is for a black household compared to a white household? Can you tell me what the average income is for a black household compared to a white household? What does that annual income look like?
As of the most recent data available from the US Census Bureau, which is from 2020, the median household income for Black households was about $45,870, while for white households, it was approximately $71,000. This shows a significant income gap between Black and white households in the United States. The figures can vary depending on the source and year, but these numbers give a general sense of the disparity in income levels.
All right. Can you tell me the
Sure.
percent of blacks that are married compared to the percent of whites that are married?
Based on data from the US Census Bureau and other demographic sources around 2020, approximately 30% of Black adults in the US were married, compared to about 50% of white adults. Marriage rates can be influenced by a variety of factors, including socioeconomic status, education, and cultural norms.
Okay. Can you repeat to me again the average? annual income of a black home compared to a white home?
Sure. As of 2020, the median household income for Black households in the US was about $45,870, while for white households, it was approximately $71,000. This illustrates a significant income gap between Black and white households in the United States. Previous figures can vary.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, my question to my black brothers and sisters is this: if we as a black community are bringing home an annual income in our household of 48,000 and our white counterparts are bringing home almost double that of 72 to 76,000 depending on where you get the data from, that's a significant difference in income. My question is this: who do you think is being impacted more? Who do you think is being hurt more by the inflation? If you have an annual budget of $48,000 and you go to the grocery store and the milk, the chicken, the eggs, the bread, the butter is much, 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 much higher than what it was 4 years ago, who's going to be more impacted by that? The white family making 72 to 76,000 or the black family making 42 to 48 to 46,000? Obviously, we're all impacted by it. But the black family with the least amount of money is going to feel that pinch much more. We have much less money at our disposal, generally speaking. That doesn't specifically apply to me. It might not specifically apply to many of you watching this, but as the data shows, the average income of a black household compared to a white household, we're going to be the ones hurt more by the economics of the administration. So when you look at who to vote for, when you look at why you should vote for Trump, you got to stop looking at it at a black as a black issue because it's an American issue. And yes, at the end of the day, we are going to suffer more if inflation is higher. We as a black community are going to suffer more if interest rates are higher. Who is suffering more under the current administration? It's not about what someone said, because what they said does not put gas in my tank, does not put more money in my wallet. It's about what they do. What policies are they doing that's going to help me the most? So get out of your feelings, get out of your emotions, get out of your stupidity and ignorance and choosing to be blind, and wake up and open your eyes. Are you really better off now under Biden Kamala administration, and now you want to go vote for another 4 years of Kamala, which she will be worse than Biden? The give Biden some respect here. At least he can say, "Hey, he was old, he was senile, he didn't know what's going on. He was just being used and manipulated by the puppet masters behind him." Kamala is doesn't have that as an excuse. She is a willing participant in it. So think about it. What you gonna do with the knowledge I just gave you? Can you give me the data on the demographics of the babies that are affected by abortion, the percent of black babies that are aborted compared to white babies that are being aborted?
Abortion rates and their demographics can vary depending on the source and year of the data. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, in 2019, the abortion rate for Black women was higher than that for white women. Black women accounted for a disproportionately high percentage of abortions. Although Black Americans make up about 13% of the US population, they accounted for approximately 38% of reported abortions in that year. White women, who make up a larger portion of the population, accounted for about 33% of reported abortions. These statistics indicate that the rate of abortion is higher among Black women compared to white women. The reasons for this disparity are complex and include factors like access to healthcare, economic inequality, and education.
Okay, so there you have it. What are you going to do with that information? I think a lot of you hear these issues of abortion. I think a lot of you hear the issues of inflation, interest rates, um, and I think you think these are white issues, because generally speaking, blacks are not as well to do, right? So we don't own homes, as many of us don't own homes like our white counterparts. And so when we hear interest rates, we really don't pay too much attention to that because we're like, well, I'm renting, or those are the cold hard facts. I think a lot of us ignore these numbers, this data, and I think somewhere in the back of our mind, we think this does not apply to us, this does not affect us, just simply because we're not educated enough on the facts. But I want you to know ignorance is no excuse. Knowledge is free. Like you, at one point, I used to vote Democrat. I used to believe the garbage that I was being fed. My family voted Democrat, and it was just something that you did as a black person. And I voted for Barack Obama in 2008, you know, and in my defense, he gave a really great speech that motivated the world, and it was powerful, it was hopeful. But I saw what happened. I saw his policies. I saw what he was pushing. And it had nothing to do with the black community. It had nothing to do with uplifting us and promoting the black family. It had nothing to do with promoting Christian values, family values. And so I didn't vote for him the second term. It was, I think, halfway through the first term that I realized I made a mistake. When are you going to wake up and see that you made a mistake? Don't make the same mistake twice. Thank you for your time. God is good.